Good morning, early game crew. You made it to Wednesday. If it's been a long week for you, you're halfway there. We have such an exciting show planned today. Shane Beamer spoke yesterday. The college football playoff rankings were released. Gamecock men's basketball team shooting almost 80% from two-point range. Yeah, I said almost 80%. And we have a Harlem Globetrotter coming into the studio. And before we leave today, Jen Jensen will know how to spin a basketball on her finger. It's going to be an educational program today.
Yeah, my hands are the size of a Muppet, but we'll see how this works.
Anything is possible if you set your mind to it. I did listen to the Rocky theme song like 3 times coming into the studio today.
The most surprising thing to me, watching clips from this summer's Olympic basketball, was how many of our excellent basketball players could not do that.
Very shocking.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
jarring.
You know the clip I'm talking about where they're like, nobody could spin the ball on their fingers. I was like, what's going on here? And I mean, listen, I can't, but I assume that our greatest basketball prowess in the world could. So maybe Jen has a tall task ahead of her today.
She can. I will say it is easier. Not easier.
It is a thing, right? I feel like if you're a hooper, you
can, yeah. I can, yeah, because you know why? I had spent countless days on my couch as a kid, with a basketball hand, can't bounce it inside. Mom's gonna get mad, so I'll just spin it on my finger. And after a while of just messing around and trying it, you eventually get it to where you can do it pretty well.
Yeah, I have like I said, I have a sister who my middle sister was a really good basketball player. She was a forward, really good player, and yeah, she could spin that and whatever. So I should have had her, give me. She's coming in next week. I should have had her give me some advanced training.
Maybe surprise her next week. Say, check this out.
Hey, long time no see. Look what I can do. Bam.
Yeah, you remember when he treated me really poorly because you thought I was a dumb younger sister? Yeah, well, look at this.
Look at this. Look at I can do now. You're not so special anymore.
Exactly.
So that's what we got planned for today. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And obviously, the big thing today is Shane Beamer speaking yesterday. And there are plenty of takeaways, plenty of reaction, because now we're at a point in the season where you're playing for pride. You're not playing for a bowl game. You're certainly not playing for the college football playoff and the rankings that we'll discuss later on in the show. But listening to yesterday, I thought was interesting. I was more intrigued to hear what he had to say yesterday than at any one of these so far this season, because of what you're fresh off of, right? And which update? Remember how last couple days I've been saying that number is 1 in 287, or 1 in 286 in terms of teams that trailed by 27. And I was like, I couldn't find the game in 2004 where that comeback happened, right? I couldn't find it. So my theory was, the fact checkers at ESPN and the SEC just didn't get past 2004 when looking for games, but they needed that graphic up. So they said, all right, here's the total right now. Well, an addendum was made because SEC Network last night said Texas A&M is the only SEC team in the last 33 years to come back from down 27-plus points in a conference game, making that instead of 1 in 286, it's 1 in 366. So if we have another early winner for dubious distinction, it got more dubious overnight. I think they're still looking for that game in which somebody erased a larger lead.
More notable.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We are now getting to pre-Desert Storm America at that point. Is what we're going to have to dig back to find before we see a comeback that large.
And so with that being said, you can't understate how colossal of a collapse that was. And so when people are maybe asking questions or people having their feelings or people are considering whatever options are on the table, that's why we were so interested to hear from Shane Beamer today, because you have to address, it's not the elephant in the room, it is the room. It's like, hey, man, this happened.
Well, the elephant is the size of the room. There's no room for anybody else.
There you go.
It has to be.
Right. It has to be. We have to discuss how you and your team made history on the not good side.
The dubious distinction.
The wrong side of history.
Yeah. And so that was what I was curious to hear yesterday. But there was one clip yesterday that ended up getting aggregated, and I will use the term aggregated, And this is going to be, Jen, if you don't mind, cut 16, where Shane Beamer talks about the disappointment of not being involved in college football playoff talks this year the way they were last season. And he said something in this clip that ended up getting picked up and just run around with.
This week, the record is what it is, but the opportunity to go compete, that hasn't changed and won't. And also understanding, too, that we're all sick and we don't want to feel this feeling again. And I realized that 1 year ago, Rick, we were sitting here tonight getting ready to play Wofford, and we're all dialed into the playoff rankings to see where we're ranked, and we're not there right now, but I do know next year at this time, we're going to be sitting here next year on this Tuesday night watching the playoff rankings to see where we are in the rankings show, and we're going to be firmly in the mix for a college football playoff berth next year at this time. And we're all sick about this feeling, but we're not going to go through this thing again, and we're going to go finish this season out the right way, send these guys out the right way, and then the minute that thing hits zero on the clock after the Thanksgiving Day game or Thanksgiving weekend game, we're full speed ahead on 2026.
Now, what he said right there, I expect any college football coach, especially in the SEC, to say, right? Because that's what you play for, right? When we have a 12-team college football playoff, you try to get to that, right? It's something the school has never done before. That would be a pretty significant thing, right? I feel like every coach should say that. If he straight up said, well, you know, it sucks that we're not in the college football playoff hunt this year, that we're not watching what's going to happen tonight, and look for our name. And you know what? It's not happening next year.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed 2 years ago, because we'll never be there again.
If he said that, yeah, then I would be like, okay, but then what are we doing here, right? And then on 3 goes, new, in like big bold letters. Shane Beamer declares South Carolina will be in the CFP hunt in 2026. And just clipped it. And it's like, well, what else do you expect somebody to say? And then that goes viral.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, and yes, he did provide the fodder for it, and obviously he's speaking into the future. That's yet to be seen. But you wouldn't expect the coach to say anything else about his team moving forward, or else why are we here? You do expect that. You do expect that to be the case, and that was the case last year. It's not the case this year. We'll see moving forward. My interesting thing is this, and I would just tell them, everybody on staff, because he said as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Thanksgiving game, we're going forward into 2026. And I would say, hey, maybe take a beat. Maybe take a breath. Let's sit back, go on a vacation, get away from this thing a little bit, because I would contend that just working harder is not working.
Right.
So you might need to reevaluate everything that you're doing here, and I'm not sure that you can do that by just getting to work the next day, because that's our impulse, right? It went bad. I'm going to get back to work. But
grind set culture.
Exactly. Take a second, reevaluate, take a bigger view from this and see where it actually went wrong, because I feel like just saying I'm getting back to work maybe doesn't acknowledge that things didn't go right this year. That just says like, oh yeah, that was a blip on the radar. We're going to continue down this process. I think everybody needs to take a step back, because this was a colossal failure this year.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think just jumping back into the burning building is going to make it even better.
I think it's a great point, because again, like you said, you don't want to revisit the path you've been down, so you really need to look at that roadmap and say, you know what, there's a different way to get to that destination.
Yeah, and I understand the impulse is that as soon as this thing finishes, we're going to get back, and you're never going to see me work harder, and I'm going to spend 18 hours, and I'm going to sleep there, and I get that, but also there needs to be some space between what was a market failure and what the next year is going to be, or else it just bleeds one thing into the next.
Yeah. And then you don't get, like what you said too, you don't get maybe the clearest picture as to like what went wrong this year.
It's okay. Go away for a couple of weeks. We'll be fine.
And unfortunately, the one thing that does make that harder to do is the fact that this coaching carousel is so crazy, and he does have one really big offensive coordinator change he has to make, and one hire he has to make that is basically going to be what he is going to staple his job to.
Right.
Right? Like what that offensive coordinator that he brings in does in 2026, that sheet, those stats, is going to be stapled right to his resume.
Well, to your point, he has to make at least one hire.
Yes.
Right? We don't know what else is going to be happening amongst staff. We don't know what Clayton White's situation is going to be. We don't know what anybody else on the defensive staffs are going to be. We don't know if when he brings in the offensive coordinator, who he wants to bring in and who that eliminates from the picture or who that shifts around in responsibilities. So he at least is making one major hire, but there's going to be domino effects as there are every year on a coaching staff. So, yeah, I understand that, and that's part of the year-round idea of it. I would just say, take a breath, take a beat, get some clarity on what actually went wrong this year because something went wrong. And it's not, you can't just go back to doing whatever you just did next year.
And it's not just one thing too, right? Like there's a process that needs to change, right? Because clearly we've seen a lot of the same issues persist the entire season. I think my biggest gripe with this team is that you haven't gotten better since the beginning of the season. If the Gamecocks of November 19th squared off against the Gamecocks of August 31st, who do you think wins that game?
It's a great question.
I think the team on August 31st probably wins that game. I don't know how you've gotten better over the course of the season. There's something wrong with development. There's something wrong with the preparation for the season. You have been really bad in all the fourth quarters, and we'll get to that here soon. But there's something in the process that needs to be changed, and reflection's going to be the best way to get to that. And being as refreshed as humanly possible is a really good way to get to that point. That way, when you do make these decisions, you get them done very well. And that's why the college football calendar is so frustrating, because I don't think you have to do a ton of overhaul on the roster, but you got to make sure you don't miss on the additions you do bring in from the transfer portal. You can maybe get away with bringing in a smaller transfer portal class if the coordinator you bring in and your coaches develop the players that you have on the roster from now until the start of the season next year, and the players that you bring in are already developed to a degree to where you don't have to end up having to develop a 23-year-old, right? You have to nail the evaluation. And that's where you're going to have to really trust a lot of the people that you have on staff that are already looking, right? Because believe it or not, these college football teams, basketball teams, whoever, they're watching throughout the season other games and seeing who could be in this. Because when you only have a few days when a player enters the portal to get their attention and get them on campus to try to win the race to get them to your football team, you can't just say, oh, this person's in the portal now. Let me turn on some tape. Let me go to YouTube. Doesn't work that way. You have to already trust like a lot of the process you have right now, and also reflect on what did I miss from these certain players, especially on the offensive line, right? Where did we go wrong there? What did we not see in the preparation between season and portal process to be able to bring in players that are going to be good right away? Because if you're going to bring in a smaller class, they all have to be impact players right away.
That's an excellent point and something I hadn't considered, because when I'm thinking about the things that went wrong, I'm thinking about the weight room staff, I'm thinking about the coaches, I'm thinking about, but there's that new position. We don't have a GM, but what is the position we have on the player?
It's Darren Usher's.
Usher's position. Darren, you got to come here and answer some questions too, because you were part of the evaluation process. And to my viewing, we have been unsuccessful wholly in the transfer portal this year, and that's part of you, Darren Usher.
Yep.
So you got to come to the table and you got to answer some questions, and you need to evaluate your process also, and that can only happen with a little bit of time and space in between this and that.
Especially on the offensive line, because look, you haven't developed really well. A lot of the guys are going to be coming back next year. They're going to need help next year. You're going to have to be able to bring guys in who are already finished products. And you can say, the additions of some of the defensive guys like Brandon Cisse, Justin Okoronkwo.
That's right.
We're solid. But you needed offensive line help, and you whiffed on 3 of them, right? That's the big one to me where I'm looking at it and like, you've got to be able to change that. And that can get you a head start going into next year for just trying to identify certain things. But one of the things that makes me believe that the team in November would lose to the team in August for South Carolina is that you haven't gotten any better in the fourth quarter all season long. But what explains some of those fourth quarter struggles? I asked Coach Beamer that question, and you'll hear his response next.
Two Notch Road at I-77. We have a report of an accident there, so allow for some time to get through there, maybe a little extra slowdown. A few passing clouds today. We're potentially going to hit a record high. The record is 81. We're supposed to hit 80 today. Our overnight low, 53. And then Thursday, 73. Friday, 78. So very nice weather ahead. Looks like a high of 80 on Saturday. Maybe just a shower or two popping through, but not a washout for the game on Saturday. Right now, sitting at 49 on 107.5 The Game.
The fourth quarter has not been kind. That's me being kind because I really understated that. They're 2-8 in fourth quarters this season. And those only two fourth quarter wins came in the first game of the year against Virginia Tech, aided by one special teams touchdown. And the other came against Kentucky, your only SEC win. One of the things this team's wanted to do all year is dominate the fourth quarter. And we can look at a lot of games this year. You look at Missouri, it's a 2-point game. You're up 20-18 going into the fourth quarter. You lose that game. It's a one-score game going into LSU. You lose that game. You have a lead in the fourth quarter against Alabama. You lose that game. And despite your best efforts to not have a lead going into the fourth quarter against Texas A&M, you lose that game. Oh, yeah, and Ole Miss was a one-score game going into the fourth quarter, too. All of these aforementioned games resulted in L's next to the result. Why haven't they been good in the fourth quarter? And what makes a good fourth quarter team? Something that this program also has to seriously evaluate by the time we get to any type of planning for next year. Well, I asked Coach Shane Beamer that question at his press conference yesterday, and here was his response.
Yeah, I think from it starts with, all that stuff to me starts in the off season, January, February, all the things you're doing in the wintertime, in the summertime. You're building that mental toughness, that physical toughness for the fourth quarter, especially in this league where, it's going to be a dogfight every single week. It starts with from a physical standpoint, making sure that you're fresh mentally and physically as you get into the fourth quarter, that your bodies are in position to go be at your best. And that's with the preparation that you have during the week, how you're taking care of your body. And then during the game, talked about it with our coaches on Saturday. It was 80 degrees out in Texas. We got to play our players and keep them fresh so we're fresh and at our best as we go into the fourth quarter. So all of that is really important. And then when you get into it, I think everything is magnified, and you've got to make plays and we got to execute. And that falls back on us as coaches. It starts with us in regards to putting our players in position to execute. But then whether it be, A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, all games in the fourth quarter that we had opportunities to win and we didn't get it done, there were plays where just frankly we didn't execute. The little touchdown pass to the running back out of the backfield against Alabama, we didn't execute. And the two long touchdown passes that they had in the fourth quarter, we didn't execute. And some plays that we missed in the passing game on offense, we didn't execute. And this ain't me sitting here blaming the players, they didn't do their jobs. I'm not saying that at all. It falls back on me and it falls back on us as coaches. But I think everything is magnified in the fourth quarter, and that's why I was 3 minutes late. I wasn't fighting Clayton. I was meeting with our leadership group, and that's what we were talking about, was just, in the fourth quarter, we got to make plays. And it's you guys, particularly in this room, this leadership group, has got to go, lead us and make plays. And I'm not saying they didn't. A lot of those guys made a lot of great plays on Saturday. We got to make more of them. And as coaches, we've got to, and crunch moments like that, we've got to do a better job of putting our players in position to make those plays and coaching them up throughout the week. So when those times come, we make them, and that'll be certainly something. I mean, we always do it in the off season in regards to the weight room and the off season program. But yeah, that'll be a big point of emphasis next year as we go into the season in regards to, continuing to put our players in even more adverse situations where they got to communicate and be detailed at the end of weight room workouts, winter workouts, all that stuff like we do in the off season.
Execution. Apparently the main theme. I think there's more to it maybe than execution, because I think there's maybe a reason why you're not executing, right? And I think a lot of that is development. If you're not making enough plays to win the game, there's a developmental block that's there that keeps you from being able to make those plays required to win the game. I think we all agree the talent's there to win more than one SEC game throughout the course of a college football season.
Yeah, it's apparent the talent's there because they're in these games. If there was no talent there, they would not be in these games. So it goes back to, can the coaches provide the atmosphere to help get these players over the hump? And what Shane said is really interesting, because I think you have to really split this in between making plays and not making mistakes. So you don't want your players to not make mistakes in the fourth quarter. So all of those examples that he talked about, those weren't examples of people making plays. Those were just not making mistakes, i.e. he talks about the running comeback. That's just somebody, and that's somebody playing their assignment, right? The other example he talked about, that's somebody playing an assignment. An example of somebody making a play is when you go up and you maul somebody in the end zone, right?
Yeah.
We haven't had anybody actually make a play.
Like Marcel Reed in the second half of that game, where he made some throws.
Making a throw or doing those things. So there's a big difference between that. We haven't gotten to that point yet where we need somebody to make a play. If we could just focus on what he talked about, the execution, not getting players to make mistakes, then you can get on to the next spot where you need somebody to step in and make a play. But I think there's a very big difference, and that's where also the talent might come in, and where your big-time players make big-time plays, the statement you're familiar with. But we haven't gotten there yet. We got to get our players to not make mistakes in the fourth quarter, and whether that comes from their lack of physical conditioning or their lack of mental strain that they're going through during practices, that has to be taken care of before we can get to the next level of hoping our guy makes a play. Last year, when we talked about Lenora Sellers, he made plays.
Oh, the Clemson game, 3rd and 16 is making a play.
That's not a matter of execution. That's a dude making a play.
That play was not designed to do that. Yeah.
You have to put your players in those positions, and they haven't done that to this point.
No, and I think so much of it's mental too. I just don't think this team's handled adversity remotely close as well as it did last year. Maybe that's a leadership thing with players. Maybe it's a leadership thing with coaches too, because we talk about what, we said it several times on the show, like what Shane Beamer's superpower is getting guys to stick together. And that superpower has been hit with some sort of kryptonite this year, because it's not happening, right? There was no sticking together in that second half against Texas A&M. Well, as soon as A&M made that first punch in the second half and they regrouped, it was over after that point. Right? You didn't know it was over at the time, but when you look back on it and you rewatch the game, that was when it was over. And last year, that team wouldn't have done that, right? That team had Luther Burden trot into the end zone with less than a minute left and what seemed to be a go-ahead game-winning score, and you turned that into a touchdown on the other end, right? Against Clemson, offense did nothing for the first half, and you're in an absolute dogfight. And it could very well easily be, after how many punts or 3 and outs in that game, be like, we don't got it today. But they said, no, screw that. We're going to score on this drive, and then we're going to pick off the pass, and we're going to close this thing out. You don't have that this year. And that's probably the biggest failure, because they probably could have gotten away with not executing throughout the course of 2 quarters, like in some games. You could have even gotten away with not executing through 3 quarters, like against LSU. But you've never gotten over the hump and gotten out of your own way to be able to do that. And that's been the biggest problem this year.
Right. You got to be able to get to that point, and they have never got to that point. In that situation, can you make, in an extraordinary situation, can you make an ordinary play? Can you do the basic thing that needs to be done? And every example that Shane just listed was not anything out of the ordinary. It didn't take special. It was just you being able to do the assignment, and they haven't been able to do that, and that needs to be addressed.
One of the big themes from yesterday, course correction. Well, how do you course correct for 2026? We just talked about being better in the fourth quarter, but Jordan Kay asked that question yesterday, and it was an interesting response from Shane Beamer. We'll hear what he had to say about that coming up next.
Accident reported Green Lawn Drive at Garner's Ferry. Also, an accident reported Killian Road at I-77. Two Notch Road near Park Lane Road, an accident, and Two Notch at I-77. So a few slowdowns for sure that you want to be mindful of this morning as you're heading out. And also, going to be mindful of the fact that it's going to be 80 degrees today. 73 tomorrow, 78 on Friday, back to 80 on Saturday. Maybe just a couple showers popping up throughout the day, but nothing that's going to just totally mess up the game. So that's good news there. 49 currently, 107.5 the game.
Obviously, at the beginning of the year, I don't think any Gamecock fan or anybody in that facility said, you know what we really want to do this year? We want to go 3-7. Does this sound fun? You guys have your December off. You guys get to hang out for Christmas a little bit longer. Preston Thor says it's not the worst thing in the world.
I don't think this was in that state, but I've been in a locker room before where it was like, y'all want December off?
Do we want to put up with this anymore?
I will say that this team is not that.
Yes, this team is not that.
But that is possible.
You're saying it has happened.
That's what I'm saying.
In locker rooms.
That's what
before.
I'm saying.
I've covered a team where it was like, you know what? Let's just get this thing over with. I'll always remember my winter covering the 2018 Vanderbilt men's basketball team that the only team I think in my career I've ever accused of quitting. And they did it with like a month left to play. Those bags were packed. It was Cancun on 3 for a month. But this team's not that.
That's not there. They're not.
And I would say, I don't think that we've lost the locker room.
No, I don't think so either. And again, I think that's I think that's Shane's very special skill that he has is the ability to carry a team through, this is the most adversity as far as wins and losses that he's faced, obviously. But I do think that is something that Shane does what his skill set as a coach is good for these scenarios. Unfortunately, he has to test that out now.
Yeah. And one thing we have seen is that the last time he didn't make a bowl game, which unfortunately is not ancient history, old enough to remember 2023. I was here for that. The next season, they regrouped. They landed everything in the transfer portal they needed to. They were able to get Lenore Sellers ready to be a starting quarterback in the SEC. And then they are basically one or two plays here and there from making the college football playoff. That's how close the margins ended up being, right? They course corrected after 2023. Well, now after a disastrous 2025, how do you course correct for 2026? And how do you make it to where you're able to accomplish the lofty goals that you set as a program, the newer standard that you have set after last year? Well, Shane Beamer was asked that yesterday, and here was his response.
Well, one, and I get it, no one wants to hear it. I don't care. We're not far away. I think when we've had the fourth quarters, we haven't been getting to use a Coach Spurrier term, getting clobbered every week. We've had a chance to win literally every game this season, and we haven't gotten it done. So in my mind, Jordan, it's very much we've made a lot of progress in the 5 years that I've been here, and this year is absolutely not what we want. But we've done a lot of things for the very first time in our 4 years here. We've made progress. We've elevated this program from when I got here. And in so many ways, the hardest step is now the next step to take, where you've made progress. You're on the verge of the college football playoff last season. We're 2 points away from being in it. And then the hardest step in so many ways is that next step to get there. And we didn't take that step this year, but it's not like we didn't take that step and we just came crashing back to earth and now we have to dig our way all the way back up. We're right there. And so what has to happen? Obviously, there's some coaching hires that have to happen, and that'll happen as quick as, I'm not going to rush it, but as soon as possible after the Clemson game. That's the first part. Getting the staff in order in regards to how it's structured. going into 2026. That has to happen. We've got to be able to close out this recruiting class that we've got committed right now, which those guys have been awesome. Some of the first text messages I got after the game on Saturday were from those recruits that with awesome messages. So grateful for them. And as I've told them, they've got a chance to impact our program the moment they walk in this building, not because of the kind of players they are, but the people they are too. We've got to be able to, get our current roster in order as we go into 2026. Some guys have NFL decisions to make. Guys have, other decisions to make. We've got to be able to retain that. And my conversations have been good with guys. And then, frankly, there'll be some guys, I'm sure, that don't want to be a part of this going forward, and that's okay too. We'll cross that bridge if somebody decides to move on for another opportunity to go play somewhere else. And then the portal opens in January, and I don't think we need to go out there. I had this conversation with one of our starters on defense last week, one of our key players that has a chance that will come back next year, and we talked about the portal in some ways, and he said it. He's like, we don't need a lot. In regards to the portal, it's not like we need to go out and sign 40 portal guys and flip this roster. We don't. That game, Saturday, we were about 2 or 3 plays away from winning that, and we've got the people in our program to do it. And then we've got to be able to go out and add some other people from the outside in the portal to be those 2, 3, 4 difference makers.
So that was the abbreviated version of that.
Shane was long-winded yesterday.
He went on. He had thoughts. Yeah, he definitely made sure to answer things pretty thoroughly.
Nervous energy.
Possibly.
Nervous energy. Yeah, as I expected, probably going into yesterday and having to talk after your bowl chances were eliminated, and you made a history-making loss, right?
Dubious distinction.
I appreciate him talking.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. But if that's what they believe needs to be course corrected for 2026, and which I can at least appreciate, I understand the emotion of being like, oh, we got to completely clean house. And like, I understand every feeling you could have after what happened on Saturday.
Which is why I say you need some space.
Yes. But there are, here's my thing. If you might not need a ton of players in the transfer portal, but you got to nail the ones you make, right? You absolutely, player evaluation this offseason, maybe number 2 behind most important things, behind the offensive coordinator. Because this year you saw what a misevaluation does. And if you just look through the transfer portal class, a lot of the guys on defense, you could say made positive contributions, right? Brandon Cisse is one of them. Justin Okoronkwo is one of them. Sean Murphy's been solid. But on offense, you haven't gotten those guys, especially on the offensive line, and that is what derailed the beginning of your season. It never got corrected throughout the season.
Did not.
That's probably the biggest thing there for me, is that if we want to find out how this team course corrects for 2026, you've got to help rebuild that offensive line. And if Darius Gray comes in, you don't want to have to rely on a true freshman on the offensive line, but that's going to help because he was the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the class in America, right? That's going to help. But you've got to be able to develop them, and you've got to help them out, and you have to build depth by bringing in guys who can play at that position at this level.
Yeah, and I understand the sentiment of thinking like we've been in his last games, we are this close, but we're not because you haven't made those things happen. And it just thought in my mind, if you've ever been out to Vegas?
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to Las Vegas, things seem close, but they are far. You're like, oh, I could walk there. It's right. I see it. And you start walking, it's like, oh, we're not even close to the destination that we thought we were getting to. So you're like, you can see it, but really how far away are we? And I think that is the question. When you're doing, as I was listening, when you're doing when you're working out, even though you're doing 10 reps, rep 9 is a lot harder than rep 1. You know what I'm saying? Or like if you're doing Pilates and they got you doing it in the horse pose or whatever, like the last 5 seconds is a lot harder than the first 5 seconds. And it's the same thing, but the idea of saying like we're not far away, you are far away because your record is 3-7.
Yeah.
That's not close to winning. And I think we have to acknowledge that reality. And before you can move forward, because if you keep saying like we're not close, then I fear that we'll be back in the same spot.
Right. Well, it decreases kind of your margin for error, right? Like you can't have much more wrong go. But what's the perceptionist reality versus the reality? We'll discuss that next. Perception versus reality. Well, we know what the perception of this South Carolina Gamecock team is, and the perception is that things have gone off the rails because you're 3-7 and you were a top 15 team in the country to start the year. So clearly, when you go 3-7, things have gone horribly awry. But what is the reality of this program? Over the course of the year, Shane Beamer has talked about the word perception and fighting what he believes the perception of his team is. Well, let's be cut 10, Jen. He was asked about the perception versus reality element of this football team, and this was his response.
I feel like anything that I say, perception, reality, may sound like an excuse. And in regards to this season, I think it's just the head coach, if that's what you're asking. You know, I look at, going back to Jordan's question, I look at the reasons that we are where we are right now, and there's, you know, certainly things that are fixable that I will fix. And you realize how close we truly are in a lot of ways. And it's an adjustment here, an adjustment there, an addition here, a subtraction there, whatever it may be. But it's when I say perception versus reality, I get it. Everything on the outside is negative, negative, negative. Everybody sucks, I'm sure. But, you know, I look at the body of work, and nobody's patting ourselves on the back because of where we are right now. But I do believe like there's a reality of we're not that far away. And I truly believe that. I know that. Our players know that. And that's why the conversations that I've had with the players on our team, Hale, in regards to their futures and guys that have decisions on whether or not they want to come back next season, have been overwhelmingly positive. Now, I get it. The portal doesn't open until January. But I think if this thing was if the culture wasn't strong and the reality was what people maybe perceive it to be on the outside, we wouldn't have the positive things that are going on in this building, and there's a lot of them. So that's what I meant by that.
So do you believe the reality is far off from what its perception is, Preston Thorne?
Hands up emoji. I don't know. I don't know what the perception is. We don't get access to the building. We only get curated answers, and we don't have our own eyes to see. All we're left to do is believe. All we're left to do is with what we see, and what we see is a team that has not improved throughout the year. We see a team that's not able to finish in the fourth quarter, and we see a team that is 3-7 at this point. That's all we can go off of. We can't go off of what's inside the building. It's like somebody saying, "Well, you know, yeah, they did that, but he's, you know, trust me, he's a really good person." It's like, I don't know, man.
The evidence it runs counter to what it is that you're telling me.
But it's not for us to see. All they need is the people that are in the building to believe what's going on, because they're the ones that's going to be up early in January in the winter workouts, in the weight room. We're not going to be there. We parachute in, we see the results, and we parachute out. So there's a combination of, yeah, the reality is we only see what we're getting, and what we're getting is a 3-7 team right now. But on the inside of the building, they have to believe that they're on the bigger, better things, and I can't answer that.
Yeah, that is a really big I don't know, and it's a really big, like, to me, it feels like the perception, the reality is not terribly far off. I know Shane says that it is, you know, and he says obviously the record, no one's proud of the record, but they're proud of, you know, I guess, of the process, to try to summarize there. But look, the fact of the matter is exactly what you just mentioned, is that you haven't gotten any better throughout the course of the entire season. I think that's kind of like my question of the day for anybody listening is, hey, if the team that played in the first game against Virginia Tech played against the team that took the field against Texas A&M, and you had an inter-squad scrimmage where you can clone people, and you have those two versions of each other playing each other, who wins that game, August or November?
That's a great exercise.
I think August probably wins, or it's way too close for it to be a thing. If we did this exercise last year, I think we would all say, oh, my God, yeah, the team in November beats the team in August by 3 touchdowns, right? I don't think that is the case for this team, and that's what tells me that maybe the perception kind of does reflect what reality is a little bit, that your 3-7 record does kind of reflect who your team is, because it's not like you haven't had chances in these games.
I mean, that's the Bill Parcells, right? You are what your record says you are.
Yeah, especially with how you lose games.
Because we can always do the same thing if we wanted to play that game and say we're just close. Well, last year, you know what? You were also just close to losing a lot of those games last year too. Right? So we can't get into this, oh, we're so close, we might just be winning these games. You might. Oh, you know, like if And we all know all the phrases about ifs. None of them are FCC approved that we can say.
If it's the answer pots and pans, the world would be one large kitchen.
Well, that's not what I was going to say.
I
But
had a totally different one. Okay, yeah, I think I've got yours.
I'll roll with
I found the FCC appropriate version of that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
A little poly positive.
They have to work on what the reality is. The reality is they're 3-7. They can build from that, but they have to recognize that that's what they are right now.
Yes, and that, look, the way you played in second halves of the season, you carry that over next year, and you have those one-score games and you lose because of how you play. It could be a very similar story this year, and nobody wants that. But what we all kind of like is the coaching carousel. We're going to make our coaching carousel guesses coming up next to kick off hour number 2. Believe it or not, tomorrow marks 1 week until we get to Thanksgiving. The year is flying by, right? And with Thanksgiving coming around, there's a lot to be thankful for. And my friends over at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning are thankful for you. And that's why they want to give you this Thanksgiving fall sale, because this month, if you just mention my name, Elijah Campbell, 107.5 The Game, you can get $45 per room of carpet cleaning for an unlimited amount of rooms. I said unlimited. And if you schedule 3 or more rooms and really utilize the unlimited part there, you can add on a hallway for just $1. It's been a long year. Your house has seen it all. Give it the refresh it deserves, the refresh that you deserve before you start hosting friends and family for Thanksgiving and Christmas by calling Zero Res or scheduling online today at ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Greenlawn Drive at Garner's Ferry Road, still working that earlier slowdown. Also, other accidents in progress. Killian Road near I-77. Two Notch Road near Park Lane Road. And Two Notch Road at I-77. 80 for the high today. Overnight low of 53. 73 tomorrow. 78 on Friday. Now, we could see a couple showers on Saturday. Not looking like it's going to be any kind of a significant washout for game day. But just in the forecast as of right now, about a 30% chance of rain. Currently, though, we are starting off the morning a little bit cooler. It's 48 on the early game.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. And we have been locked in on the coaching carousel. We've been firing up the grill all season long in preparation for what might be one of the craziest coaching movement off seasons ever in college football because of the changing college football landscape with the expansion of a college football playoff to 12 teams and shifting expectations for all types of programs in the sport. People are getting let go left and right. Buyout records are being shattered. Buyouts aren't really the obstacle they used to be when it comes to getting rid of a coach, because if Mike Norvell gets let go, then that's 3 coaches that will eclipse $50 million in buyouts. Not really a thing anymore.
Money's not real.
Money's not real.
That's the only conclusion you can come to.
In college football, money is not real.
That's the only conclusion you can draw.
Until they ask you for it. And it's very real.
Or until we have to pay players.
Until you have to pay players. Can't do it. How else are we going to pay for this barber shop we put in the football facility? You guys want nice things or not? But the coaching carousel, it's gotten crazy. And in the SEC alone, we have some high octane, highly attractive job openings, right?
Yes.
Some of the best in the sport. And even if you just take the SEC aside, we have Penn State that's open. I think we'll get Florida State open up.
You think they're going to do it?
I think they'll end up doing it. It's a train wreck.
It's the idea of we just can't go into another season as a lame duck year.
You can't do this again, especially after they spent all that money to renovate the stadium. They have priced out a lot of their fans, which is a thing in college football. Really good article in The Athletic about that, where they focused on Florida State specifically, about how expensive it is to go to games now and how people that have been season ticket holders for 35-plus years are now getting shooed away from the stadium because they have all these new luxury suites. They have all of these new things. Getting a large number of fan support can be difficult if you're not winning. You're going to have to give them something. And I think at Florida State, a program where in a 12-team college football playoff absolutely should be in the mix every year. With their history and their resources, they should absolutely be in the college football playoff discussion every single season. They can't have 2-win seasons. They can't do what they did this year by beating Alabama and then quit playing football.
It's just amazing how in an alternate timeline, if we're talking about ifs and, all those types of things, if we're just having this conversation and things go well in Boulder, I already know who would be the coach at Florida State.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been happening, right?
That would be
coming off a 9-win season, very successful, but then you have this year happen, and then you have the health happen, and then all. So even though that job is not on the list right now, I think you might want to pencil that Boulder job in there.
Yep.
Just pencil. It's not there yet, but if you all know what I'm saying, I'm talking about Deion Sanders out there in Colorado, which I think, for all intents and purposes, was a successful experiment. It's not
for a year. You got a really good year.
I think it was a success. Yeah. They got one good winning year and 2 great promotion years out of it.
Yes.
So I think it was a successful experiment. And if things were different right now, that would be the answer at Florida State. But that's not on the table right now. So we have all of these different jobs, and somebody's going to have to coach them somewhere. And also I would also mention that with all of these jobs, it's almost multiples, because now we're talking OCs, we're talking O-line, we're talking DBs, so this is wholesale changes are coming in all of these places. So there will be lots of movement. That's why I say at baseline, Shane has to make one hire, but we don't know that, because one of the dudes on our staff, his guy might get hired somewhere else, and then all of a sudden I got to go with my guy, and now. So the carousel, we will not be unaffected by this carousel that is happening here.
It's a chain of dominoes, right? That is miles long. Like, we're talking like Great Wall of China, like filled with dominoes, and one's got to fall, and then everything else falls after that. But the biggest domino, the one that is just at the very beginning, to me, isn't James Franklin.
Okay.
It's Lane Kiffin. Because Lane Kiffin can open up the Ole Miss job. Really, in these type of coaching carousel seasons, the one who leaves their job first ends up setting the chain reaction everywhere else. And if you think about it, what is ironic enough, in college basketball a couple off seasons ago, maybe to, like, in my lifetime, the craziest one. And it didn't start with John Calipari. He was the biggest name and created the biggest opening. But really, the first one was Andy Enfield leaving Southern Cal for SMU, which opened the door for Eric Musselman to say, you know what? I'm done here. I'm going to Southern Cal, which opened the door for Hunter Yurchek and the Czech riders over at Tyson Chicken to meet up with John Calipari and convince him to come to Arkansas, which then opened up Kentucky. And then that opened up BYU. And that just left this entire chain reaction of people having to shift around. And it was a pretty seismic shift in the sport. We're experiencing that this year. And I think Lane Kiffin's the one that's going to start everything else because I've now talked myself into him leaving.
And I think you're fair on that. And you don't have to talk for yourself. Let's let Lane, most recently, this is going to be clip 22 here. And this is Lane just on the very softball Pat McAfee show. So I think you must understand the context of this clip. But here's Lane talking about his coaching situation.
Yeah, that's absolutely not true. There's been no ultimatum, anything like that at all. And so I don't know where that came from, like a lot of stuff that comes out there. Like I said, man, we're having a blast. I love it here. I mean, our running back sitting right over here. Come on over. And it just couldn't be better. Like I said, you pray for things. Our fans prayed for this type of thing, and now we're in the middle of it. So enjoy it. You're 10-1, you're getting ready, you got a bye week, you get to watch half the country lose, and there's no way we can lose Saturday, and then you play the Egg Bowl and go dominate that and keep that Egg Bowl trophy home where it's been for a long time.
Let's play the game Denial or a River in Egypt.
We must train everybody to make sure we listen very closely to the coaches. And what you did not hear in that conversation was a denial about him leaving. You heard an affirmation. I love this place. This is great. Aren't we having an awesome time? But he never said that I'm staying or I'm not leaving. And need to make sure when we listen to these coaches, we need to make sure we listen for denial. Because then it gets into the idea of, like, you get infamous. Like, you get the Nick Saban, like, I'm not leaving, and then you leave. You don't ever want that associated with it. We've learned from that. So the coaches are very skillful at not denying or affirming, but they will pump up the job that they're hints. Hey, guys, we're 10-1. Isn't this fun? Egg Bowl. Woo, woo. Hey, come here, Kyron. Don't you see this? Isn't this awesome? Smoke bomb.
My players hang out with me.
So I'm curious, when you get a head coaching job, is there some type of a class that you get to sign up for that is effective communications or selective communication 101? Like,
Jimmy Sexton probably makes his clients.
Jimmy Sexton, professional development.
Yeah.
You think the coaches get like an email like we get here? It's like, hey, you got to complete your selective communication class here in the next 10 days.
there you go.
In accordance to the CAA guidelines, right? If you are to work for Jimmy Sexton, you must complete this.
Yeah, but I do think it's very important to note that he never denied that he was leaving or leaving. We also have evidence of his ex-wife being in Baton Rouge, flying on a university-sponsored plane to Baton Rouge. That doesn't just happen.
It was just a nice gesture.
Yeah, exactly. Very nice gesture.
It's not an Uber, that's for sure.
Same nice gesture that she had for Florida also. So, hey, man, it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. I think it's probably responsible to listen to all options for your career, but relax on I don't know where they get that from. Come on, man.
Yeah, we know. He said he's here for a good time. He never said he was here for a long time.
That's correct.
So that is the important distinction. But I've got right now my prediction for all of the filled spots in the SEC.
Okay, I'm listening.
LSU gets Lane Kiffin, which will open up Ole Miss. And this is half prediction, half if I'm the AD, this is what I'm doing, right? It's like a 50-50 split. So with that opening up, we still have Florida. You want to know what my confidence level is that Florida gets a big name? Not very high.
Okay.
I think they're going to have to kind of go back into G5 ranks, but what they would need to do is get somebody with a very specific kind of offense that will work wherever it goes. Maybe a team that went to Florida and beat them this past year. He's not from far away, but Alex Golesh is right there. He was on the staff with Josh Heupel at Tennessee. He has his offensive coordinator. He knows him very well. You get a leg up right there. He's recruited really well at South Florida. He has brought some dudes to South Florida. He can recruit. You give him resources. He's had very minimal resources compared to what they have at Florida, and he has built a better program at South Florida than what Florida has right now. I think they will really limit themselves on options because of how dysfunctional that place is. I think Lane just chooses LSU over Florida, right? Because if LSU doesn't get Lane Kiffin, they're going to be in a very similar spot. Because again, they can make that to where that's a lesser attractive job than it.
Very interesting you say that because both of those schools, LSU and Florida, have a G5 candidate within the state.
Yep.
Right? Because the LSU is going to be somewhere right there. And so
right
I think there is something to say for people being at least aware of the person. I don't know if you can bring a G5 guy from somewhere else, but if they're here and they've had success, like I follow LSU, but also I read about Tulane sometimes too. They're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You can sell me on that.
Yes.
Whereas you might not be able to sell me on a G5 guy from another place out there somewhere.
Now another name because like John Summerall seems like the clear backup if they don't get Lane Kiffin. I think John Summerall takes Auburn. So I've got John Summerall going to Auburn.
Okay.
But what LSU should consider, and I have this written down here as the backup, Willie Fritz at Houston. Now, he's a little older, so you're not going to get him for 10 years. But Houston went from lowly and just an absolute train wreck, had a rough year last year, but there's a really good chance Houston wins 10 games this year.
Willie Fritz is a ball coach, also familiar with him because he's from Tulane.
And that's the Tulane team that beat a Caleb Williams quarterback Southern Cal team in the Cotton Bowl, right? Really good coach. He is a ball coach who wins everywhere he goes. Willie Fritz should be in the back of their mind at LSU. Arkansas, this should be the only call they make, the only one. They should zero in on this person and not let him go anywhere else. That's North Texas's Eric Morris. That is an offense that hums. It's the best scoring offense in college football right now. He is a proven quarterback developer. You ever heard of Cam Ward? You ever heard of Patrick Mahomes? You ever heard of offenses that score almost 40 plus or over 40 plus points a game? That's what his offenses do, right? Just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how they have they are scoring 46 points a game.
Only question here would be, do we feel like we're just doing the Chad Morris thing again here?
Don't let the last name confuse you.
Okay.
This guy is a winner, a great play caller. And Arkansas, in terms of who they can shoot for, going to be a little more limited than an LSU or a Florida in terms of their candidate pool. I think they're going to be able to get this guy all the offensive weapons they want. And if you're a school like Arkansas, who is going to be out-resourced based off of the other teams in their league, you got to have something that separates you, right? And having an identity is a big part of that. Their identity is going to be, hey, let's chuck this thing around and kind of lean in like the Tennessee model worked. Josh Heupel ran a lot of really successful offenses as an offensive coordinator, a quarterback developer, and a play caller. And guess what? It paid off dividends after just one season. Mm-hmm. I think that model can certainly work for a team like Arkansas, right?
Also, they're up. It feels like they have a pattern because they went Big Billima, Little Chad Morris, Big Pittman, back to Morris.
Back to a Morris. But this Morris could be different. Now that leaves an opening for Ole Miss. Charles Huff, you have a winner in your backyard. Southern Miss. He won the Sun Belt at Marshall last year. Took over a one-win Southern Miss program. And guess who's more than likely going to be playing in the Sun Belt Championship game this year? Southern Miss. It's a guy who's well-traveled. He's called plays. He's been a position coach with the Buffalo Bills. And I don't know if you've heard of a fellow named Saquon Barkley. He says running back coach at Penn State. A very well-traveled, coached under many good coaches, coached under Nick Saban. He's part of the Nick Saban coaching tree, too. Never a bad tree to choose from. So that's how I see the coaching carousel shaking out.
I like it. I mean, that all makes sense, but is it all contingent upon Lane leaving?
Yes. That is the big thing, because then Ole Miss doesn't open up. And then LSU has to kind of outbid Auburn for Summerall.
And remember, Lane has not denied. He doesn't say that there's a deadline, but he has not affirmed or nor denied what his possible plans are.
He has not denied that. I will not deny that the early game morning meeting is next. Now, one thing I can't deny also is that for nearly 30 years, 3 whole decades worth, my life, essentially, my lifespan so far has involved Midstate Roofing being the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry, right? That proven history of proper advice, service, and most importantly, the results is your assurance that the professionals at Midstate Roofing get to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation, right? Doesn't matter if it's high-rise or hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing's been in designing and installing bonded systems that give you a protective guarantee to keep that operation dry and running long into the future. And you can call even after hours, and they'll still have on-call technicians that can speak to you. 803-356-1919 and 803-356-1919. You can always hit them up online at midstateroofing.com.
Greenlawn Drive at Garner's Ferry Road, an accident there. Also, you'll find one I-20 westbound at Longs Pond Road. Bit of a slowdown, Killian Road near I-77. Two-notch at I-77 and two-notch near Park Lane Road. So a few areas of interest this morning. And forecast-wise, it's interesting in a good way. 80 for the high today, 73 tomorrow, 78 on Friday, back up to 80 on Saturday. Now, there could be a chance for just a couple pop-up showers on Saturday, but definitely not going to mess up game day overall. Right now, 48 on 107.5 The Game.
If you're watching on the YouTube stream right now, I've got the basketball in my hand. So, expected at 7:30 to be joined by Fatima TNT Lister of the Harlem Globetrotters. And if we're able to get her in here, we're going to teach Jen Jensen how to do this, and that's spin the basketball on your finger.
I feel like that should be a prerequisite for anybody. If you consider yourself a hooper, you should be able to do this.
Oh, yeah. If you can't, then you should get 3 or 4 points taken off your points per game average.
Agreed. And again, the thing that was so crazy to me was that when they were showing those dudes that were playing for representing us, the best basketball players in the world, a lot of them could not do it.
I couldn't remember who really couldn't do it. I think Kevin Durant couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I don't think Devin Booker could do it.
It was fascinating to me. I was like, really?
Because, I would just think that's sort of a standard thing.
It's just a thing you're just doing
you do.
whatever because you're just playing. You have so much spending so much time in the gym. The man can do it.
Doing it for a while. Spend enough time in a gym, you handle one of these things long enough, you're able to figure it out, right? So that's my version of show and tell. But we'll show and tell you what the Gamecock men's basketball team did with this basketball last night at CLA here for the morning meeting.
Good morning. Good morning. Repeat after me. Today will be an awesome day. Let's go. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day. Good morning, great today. Today will be an awesome day.
Of course it will. We have basketball in the studio. Terry Ford, kind enough to donate for the segments, one basketball. But last night, South Carolina donated a lot of missed threes, but it didn't matter. And that's the sign of a good team. I wanted to see how well they played this year whenever that three-point shot wasn't falling. Because coming into the game, they're one of the hotter three-point shooting teams in the country. And last night, a lot of these jump shots didn't necessarily go in. But they shot almost 80% from two. At one point, Preston Thorne, they were 18 of 20 from two-point range. They got to the basket, and they were able to still make it happen. And the best part, they didn't just shoot the ball really well. Preston Thorne looked alive because they did that a lot. They had 22 assists last night. That's an assist rate of 65% if we round up. 65% of their baskets were assisted last night. That's pretty big. That's a really good improvement for an offense that is comprised of new players, that is comprised of a lot of different skill sets, and that's what led them to an 87-58 win over Radford, a solid basketball program, but still a mid-major. But you took care of business because last night there were other SEC teams playing mid-majors who didn't necessarily take care of business. Arkansas needed a Nick Pringle bucket. You heard that name in a while?
I was like, I had to ask Elijah this morning. I was like, is Nick Pringle? He's like, yep. I was like, okay.
Because Radford's in the Big South. They're usually contenders in the Big South. So was Winthrop. And they needed a Nick Pringle basket with less than a minute left to beat Winthrop last night. Texas A&M only beat Montana by about 4 points. There are a lot of teams that struggled. Ole Miss beat Austin Peay by less than 10 last night. So a lot of teams in your conference played games last night against mid-major opponents. You dominated yours. So, I'm still holding out judgment for what this team is once we see them play higher level competition. But one thing that they're doing, and even at times last year did not do, was handle business and look really good against some of these teams. And it's really encouraging to get this variety in scoring. It's a new leading scorer because last night Elijah Strong was your leading scorer. And your second leading scorer was Eli Ellis off the bench. You had a lot of bench points last night. So even when the three-point shot's not falling, which is something this team clearly likes to do and will do a lot, something Lamont likes to do is have his teams shoot a lot of threes. Even if they're not making a high percentage, they're still going to score inside that arc. And I like what I've seen so far.
With that being said, hey, Jen, can we welcome Lamont into our morning meeting? Jen, can we get clip number 30 here with Lamont talking about scoring in a variety of ways? Jen, can we get clip number 30?
Day
it. That's what a great sign that is that you can take information, process it, and then, put a plan of action together to achieve the goals that you set based on that. But, I was really, really happy with that. But we did a good job getting the ball. We had some really good cuts. Kobe's a good cutter. He made some really good cuts. Eli found himself in a couple of good situations by way of the cut. And then we ran an offense. We changed our offense a little bit too, which puts an emphasis on kind of getting the ball into some ball screens and downhill and inside situations. And we created such high quality shots that our field goal percentage ended up being really high.
And that last part is the most important thing. I am a sucker for watching a basketball game and tracking mentally, in a very unscientific or mathematical way, shot quality. Because if you have quality shots and you just miss them, then you're running your offense correctly, right? Sometimes basketball can be cruel because the process can be right, it can be really good, and the results might not follow. That's why upsets happen in the NCAA tournament, right? I've seen plenty of upsets happen in the NCAA tournament where one team who is a much higher seed gets all the shots they want, but for some reason the iron is unkind. It tells me if you're constantly getting high quality of shots, your results are going to be better more often than not. And that's a very encouraging part to get from a team in middle to late November that is comprised of so many new players. They've bought into a team concept, and so far, they're getting high-quality shots on a lot of their possessions.
And what I thought was really interesting about that clip with Lamont just now is that when you figure out that your team is not making your shots, the three-pointers that you want to make in your initial offense, he made the statement that we changed our offense to this type of offense. Mm-hmm. To go back to football, something we had not heard all year. Talk about adjustments. Talk about being able to make adaptable game plans to not what you want to do, but what is called for during the game. And so they didn't just stand around chucking threes and missing. They went to an offense, granted, against a lower level opponent, which may have given them some of the reasons to be able to do that physically, but they still did it and they executed. And to me, I think that's a promising sign.
And now this week, this is not the only game this week, they will hit the road. They will go to West Virginia, the state of West Virginia, to play two of their toughest non-conference games yet. On Friday, they will take on Butler, the Fighting Jen Jensens, if you will.
Woo!
Having a solid season. I like what Butler's done so far. They've got a good roster. They had, if you look at their roster right now, Michael Ajayi from Gonzaga was one of my favorite players in that conference last year at the West Coast Conference. Mm-hmm. Really talented player, a really good addition. They're a solid offensive unit, respectable defensively. It is a team that will be in the middle of the pack in the Big East, which is a really good league. I'm really intrigued to see what they do on a neutral floor there of a team that likes to play really fast, too. They're 12th in tempo on offense so far this season. They do like to play fast. Coached by Thad Matta, who did take Ohio State to a national
classmate of mine.
Game. So the Fighting Jen Jensens coached by a Jen Jensen classmate.
Exactly.
And then they have Northwestern on Sunday. So a lot of intrigue this weekend with the men's basketball team to see exactly how far these early season games have prepared them for higher competition. But coming up next, we're going to teach Jen Jensen how to spin a basketball on her finger here in the early game.
Press here for our friends at Integrated Media. Listen, we've been trying to tell you all year that you needed to get yourself ready, and now's the time. What are you waiting for? You could have your outdoor setup ready. You can have Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors, so you can have all your devices playing at the same time without any lag. You can have your laptop, your phone, your iPad, your TV, all working at the same time, watching all the sports that are happening. You can control all of those devices from just one remote. So from home theater setup to adjusting adjusting your thermostat, monitoring your security systems from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
Still working I-20 westbound at Longs Pond Road, also I-77 after Percival. One more to make you aware of, and that's Two Notch Road at I-77. It's going to be beautiful today, 80 for our high, overnight low of about 53. Stay in the mid to upper 70s the remainder of the week, back to 80 potentially with a couple of showers on Saturday. Right now, though, 48 on the early game.
Omaha, Omaha. That's me calling an audible. That's what we're going to do real quick because we're still waiting on our guest. And if I have to, I will teach Jen Jensen how to spin a basketball on her finger. I'm a reasonably good teacher, reasonably. And I've got this thing mastered down to a science. Now, I can't do the thing where people like slap the side of the ball while it's on their finger. I knock it off. I just generate enough force in the wrist there to be able to get it spinning just long enough to be able to scratch that itch.
I did notice one detail that I failed to notice all my years of attempting to spin a ball. I feel like you got to get that pointer finger flatter than pointier. And I just saw that just now as I was watching you do it, because I saw the finger getting flatter. So I'm assuming that provides more surface area for it to spin. My whole life I've been trying to spin it up top. I did not understand this, and I think I just figured something out. I spent a lot of time trying to do this in
Should I trim my nails real quick? Is that going to be an issue?
It's gonna help. That's gonna help.
Just got to. You got to get that. And if you were double jointed, it'd probably be even better. You can get it back going like that. So I'm interested in seeing this.
Yes. So we'll get, before we end this program today, Jen Jensen is going to do her best Harlem Globetrotter impersonation, and we'll be able to do that. But
Throw fake water on you.
yeah, exactly. Yes. And it's just confetti.
Classic.
And I'll do my best Washington Generals impersonation and get beat every single day. Honestly, not a bad gig. You get to travel the globe, and you get to be a paid loser. It's like being a college football coach, but less lucrative, right?
No buyouts for the
No
Generals.
buyouts for the Generals. No, and they keep the same coaches. No Washington General coach has ever been fired. The standard is very low for the Washington Generals.
Can't win the big ones.
They can't win the ones. That'd be the greatest upset in sports. Breaking news, the Washington Generals upset the Harlem Globetrotters. If I was ever at a game where they broke contain and the Washington Generals won, I'm storming the floor.
Yeah, can't have that.
I'm storming the floor. We're cutting down a net, right? But the standard's pretty high for the teams that were announced last night to be in the college football playoff rankings, or in the field so far. And there's been a little bit of shakeup. Now, here's the question I have for you, Preston Thorne. Are you surprised that with Alabama's loss to Oklahoma, that Alabama fell from number 4 to number 10, behind now Texas Tech, behind Ole Miss, behind Oregon, behind Oklahoma, behind Notre Dame? Does that surprise you that they took that much of a tumble?
It does surprise me because I'm still of the belief that this is an invitational, not a playoff, and they want to try and keep their best teams posted as high as possible. That being said, if I put on my tinfoil hat here, I feel like they're doing good TV to make Alabama drop down, only they can bring them up at the end.
Can bring them up at the end because the resume is really good. And they, like, outside of that Florida State loss, which if you're comparing Notre Dame and Alabama's resumes, which a lot of people are doing, Alabama has 4 times as many wins against teams that are in the college football playoff top 25.
4 times as many. Because
Yeah.
Notre Dame has
1. They have Southern Cal, right? And of course, one of the reasons why Pitt is not in this anymore is because Notre Dame beat them to a pulp. So I will take that into account, right? Pitt was in this, and then they're not because they were at the end of it. Notre Dame beat them badly on the road. And if you're asking me who's the better team between Notre Dame and Alabama, I maybe say Alabama by a little bit. I don't think it's as far as some people say it is, because I do believe Notre Dame is a really good football team. And what helps Notre Dame is their losses have aged gracefully, right? Like Miami's still in the college football playoff picture, even though I think they're still going to need some serious help in terms of getting in. Now, they'll need other teams to lose, because if you look, Miami's they're at 13 right now. BYU and Utah are a little ahead of them. And Vanderbilt, if they win at Tennessee, is going to give them a win that's going to make those resumes equally comparable, because Miami does not have great losses, right? Like the Louisville loss is aging worse as we speak. SMU is a really solid team, but SMU is not in the college football playoff top 25. So those are 2 losses outside of the college football playoff top 25. Whereas other teams like Notre Dame have losses inside the top 25. Now, Alabama does have the Florida State loss, which is worse than both of Miami's. Definitely worse than both of Notre Dame's. That still matters. That still counts, even though that team, if we're doing the reverse exercise, where if we have, earlier we said, would November 19th South Carolina beat August 31st South Carolina? Well, if you had August 30th Alabama play November 19th Alabama. November 19th, Alabama's winning that game by 4 scores maybe, right? They've improved greatly, and what that game was is not a reflection of who they are, but it still counts. It still has to count. It still has to matter. It feels like they got punished. They are probably punished for their worst loss better than they are rewarded for a lot of their wins.
Mm-hmm. So I'm listening to you. I hear all the scenarios playing out, and I gotta agree with. I gotta think back to. I'm gonna go in my Shane Beamer bag here. Man, was this a lot more fun last year when we were in this conversation?
A whole lot more fun.
This is like, all right, this is very hypothetical and theoretical, and this is cool, and all these scenarios. We're not in any of them.
Now, the only thing that we can in terms of involvement is say which team is better between Georgia, Alabama, and Ole Miss because you lost to all of them. And Oklahoma. Yeah, we throw Oklahoma in there. 4 teams in here.
All right, so, okay. All right, so if I'm looking at this, well, the best team that we've seen, the most impressive team to me that we've seen because of the way that they won that game, you ready for something? You ready for this? I still think, strangely enough, the Alabama win against us was more impressive than the Texas A&M win against us.
Really? Okay. Is it the fact that it was on the road kind of
I think the
gives
road
you
deal
more points to them?
it was the road to me it felt like Alabama went out and won that game, whereas I felt like we went out and lost the Texas A&M game. And so, strangely enough, I understand the history. I get the point spread and all that. I understand, but that Alabama win, to me, I don't know whether it was the calls that they made on 4th down or the 2-point conversion or just staying in the game when they didn't have anything going for them. To me, that was the most impressive win against us. Again, you never want to be the team that's in the position of saying, well, they were pretty good when they beat us. Not a great position for us to beat in.
No.
I still think that's more impressive, but obviously Texas A&M's undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated, and it still helps to, if you do underperform in one half, to come out and outscore your opponent by 28 in the second
100%.
half.
And so I do think that's something that they can stack on their resume, and that's something that's impressive for me. But the most impressive win against us this year, unfortunately, I think was still Alabama.
Now, the 4 teams that are, if the season ended today, that would have byes would be Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4. Your projected first-round matchups, Notre Dame at Oklahoma, juicy. Alabama at Oregon, juicy. Ole Miss hosting Miami, pretty juicy. High ceiling for Miami. I can see Miami pulling that one off because they're a high ceiling team. I don't see them pull. If you maybe pick that game today, they're not winning it because they're playing on the road. And I think Ole Miss is a little better. And then Texas Tech hosting Tulane.
We don't want that. I'm sicko here, yes. Invitational, they don't want that particular game because that's a dud. Nobody cares about Texas Tech, and the underdog story is only cool if they're playing against a huge helmet.
Right.
Texas Tech is not a huge helmet.
Like if you swapped, Oregon and Texas Tech or Oklahoma or Notre Dame,
now it's cool.
They would probably really like that a lot. But
right.
That is what it's looking like right now. Obviously, a lot can shake up this weekend. But you know what? We've bottled up some anger over the weekend. It's time to put some folks on the line. Coming up next.
Hey, let's just go and get on the line right now, man.
Right now.
My patience is running thin. You're all running out of time. You was late to my practice, sir? Everybody on the line.
Come on.
Oh, everybody on the line.
I
there's
got some.
a lot of folks who
I got
put on
some.
the
I got
line
something
right
that I
now.
am ready. Woo!
Oh, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna start with the most severe case. Jamar Chase, come here.
Oh, you got mine.
Jamar Chase, come here, man. We've had this conversation 3 times this year in specifically that you cannot do this. Keep your hands to yourself, keep your feet to yourself, and most importantly, keep your spit to yourself. Come here, Jamar Chase. And then you know what? You lied.
You know what the most egregious sin about it? I don't think Jalen Carter denied that he spat.
Not only
Dak
exactly,
Prescott.
not only did you spit, but you lied when you know we have video evidence everywhere on a football field. Jamar Chase, come here and get on the line.
Oh, that was atrocious. How many times do we have to tell people to
Stop
not
that.
spit on other human beings? This is absurd. Way too many times. Once is too many. And then we had a kid at South Florida do it against Florida days later.
And lost in the game. 50 ways to lose a game. Remember,
yeah.
50 out of 15-yard penalty on it. Rest in
that's
peace to
right.
my father, Al Thorne. He said if a man spits on you, you have every right to do anything within your power to say that he does not spit on another person.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, everything's fair game. You get spat on.
Anything is on the
Anything
table.
is fair. Yeah.
If somebody spit on you and I was on the jury and you murdered them, I would acquit you.
Yeah,
Acquitted.
There's nothing that could be said evidence-wise that would change your mind. I don't think it'd change mine either because that's disgusting. Now, one I got, I think everybody, not just South Carolina fans, folks who just watched that game on Saturday when Nick Harbor scored that touchdown and came up limping a little bit. I don't know if tweaked a hamstring or something, been there, and running up the tunnel. I mean, obviously, that man is running faster than any human being in that building even can at max speed. Ends up running up the tunnel a little bit, coming back out. His teammates are there. So, I think his Oscar Attaway came up and somebody else came up too. And they're walking out of the tunnel. And one of the officers, I guess police officers that's on the field, decided, you know what I want to do? I want to walk up this hallway where I'm clearly walking into 3 guys that are walking towards me where contact is inevitable. And he basically shoulder checks Nick Harbor and turns around and tells him to get out. It makes a jerk out of him. Also, one of those things, too. Buddy, there are cameras everywhere. Don't know if you realize this game's on national television. There are millions of people watching this game. What you think you're going to do is not only not cool, you're not getting away with it. This can't be a he said thing because you know what? Everybody's watching it. And then you embarrassed yourself and everybody that you work with, and then you had to be sent home because you couldn't contain your anger in something that did not necessitate yelling at Nick Harbor over and trying to intimidate him over. It was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
It was soft, and it was very little of him. So that Texas A&M police officer,
Get on the line. Absolutely, you're going to get on the line because that was ridiculous. And again, not only were millions of people watching it, but now the clip's going to live in infamy, and that has to be you forever. Maybe that could be your punishment. That being said, hey, defense, come here. You know what the score was at halftime? 30-3. That means that you had not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 chances just to get a stop. And you gave up 28 unanswered points. Defense, Clayton White, everybody, get on the line.
oh, that's bad. That's how you lose that lead, right? Obviously, it doesn't help that your offense doesn't give you any assistance in terms of
Hey, offense. Hey, offense. You know what the score was at halftime? 30-3. You know what the score was at the end of the game? 31-30. That means you didn't score any points. Offense, get on the line.
Game's 4 quarters long. Can't just quit playing after 2. You got to get in the end zone. Or let's kick field goals.
Come on, man.
In those instances, settling for field goals is not a terrible thing if you're able to get in field goal range.
Could have got something.
Get something in that scenario. I got to put, because what happened Saturday made us lose our attention from what happened on Friday. and I'm just not just Clemson. This isn't just South Carolina radio host dumps on Clemson. I'm putting Louisville on here too, because neither team wanted to win that game. Between 3 missed field goals from Louisville, between Clemson's anemic offense, and then trying to get the ball to Peter Woods twice. Even though I don't think the second one, the play was for Peter Woods, but Cade Klubnik apparently didn't know that was not the plan. And fumbling the ball at the goal line, that game was ridiculous. Neither team deserved to win. I was one of 2 people on Gamecock Central that picked Clemson to win, and Jack sent the screenshot and said, "Hey, Elijah, way to go." And I was like, I don't even feel good about that. I don't, because both teams should have lost. They didn't, because that's not how sports work. So both those teams, get on the line. Hour number 3 is next.
I-20 westbound at Longs Pond Road still could be causing some slowdowns. Also, I-77 northbound after Percival. Two Notch Road at I-77. And one more to let you know about Broad River Road near Greystone Boulevard. Beautiful forecast is on the way. We are looking for a high today of 80. Mix of clouds and sun. Dropping to 73 tomorrow, 78 on Friday. Looking for 80 for the high on Saturday. Just a chance of maybe a couple showers here or there. Right now, though, it's trying to warm up a little bit. Sitting at 49 on the early game.
Hour number 3 of the early game, third and long hour, starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. I almost choked on something doing that. Good Lord. It's a false start. You know that happens? You don't ever see it coming. It's like you're just talking in the middle of a sentence, and all of a sudden you just feel like you just lose oxygen for like a millisecond. Happened there. Very weird. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen. But we're rocking and rolling here in the early game, third and long hour. And here, this next commercial break, we're going to start teaching Jen Jensen how to be able to spin a basketball on her finger. She is going to learn today. I promised that she was going to learn, whether it be from a Harlem Globetrotter or myself. She's going to learn how to do that today. So
That'll be entertaining, I can promise you.
I said you'd do it by the end of the show. So we're going to get you out here on camera. By the end of the show, you're going to be able to do what I'm doing right now. Now, we did get some tips on the Firehouse Subs text line.
Oh, this is great. Great listener input. Appreciate y'all.
And this came from, finishing up that response right there, it says, shocked that you don't spin on the middle finger. Stronger and more stable. Now, I've never even tried. That's the thing. Like, to your credit, maybe it probably is. I won't knock the process there at all. I just haven't tried it on my middle finger.
I like it. See, this is why coaching matters. Because when the coach sees the film, they can look and evaluate things and say, hey, have you ever thought about it like this? Say, I never thought about that.
Never thought about it like that.
And then you could try it like that.
It's almost, but at this point now, because Jen is new to trying this, she could be more susceptible to that type of coaching. It'd be harder for me because I've been spinning a ball like this on my pointer finger for years, decades. I've been able to do this since I was like 8 years old, right? I've been doing this for a long time. I can't be broken at this habit. But Jen might be a little easier.
I feel like the middle finger is one of these newfangled analytics discoveries. As people like, I know we've been doing it on the pointer finger, but have you ever thought of this?
Well, have we ever considered the fact?
And you know what? I wore contacts years ago, and I had a little bit of trouble using the pointer finger to put the contact in. And the tech said, hey, try the middle finger. It seems less aggressive or something.
Okay.
And, at least in this particular instance. And it did make a difference. So I always put contacts in with my middle finger. So again, versatility, coaching.
Now we know a little bit. We know a little bit about our personnel. We know she has experience.
With the middle. Yes,
the middle
I do.
finger.
Jen is well versed in the art of the middle finger. And only in that scenario can you ever say that the middle finger is less aggressive than any other phalange on your hand, right? Like that one by nature is the most aggressive one, right? Papa Joe says, I'm a pointer finger, but another text says, middle finger is the only way I've ever spun it. So now we've got two different schools of thought and teaching.
I like this. I like this.
So we've gotten some good input here on the text line, but some of you guys, really good job of chiming in, of putting people on the line.
Let's go. I want to hear them.
All right. So this is Elwood. Elwood says, hey, Coach Furry, it's 4th and short on the first drive of the second half, and you call a basic halfback run up the middle when you have a 6'3", 245-pound quarterback?
Get on the line. Absolutely. Hey, Coach, you did a great job that first half. Second half, not so much.
Yeah. Did a phenomenal job that first half. Lost steam.
And I love the specificity of that get on line, because we're not just going to put anybody on line for no reason. Got to have a reason. Great job, Elwood.
Now, this is a good one. This is from Mark. Mark says, please put the phrase, we're so close, on the line.
We're so close. Get on the line. We don't want to hear it. Hey, you know how close we were going to be? You were so close to finishing up running, but you got more gassers.
More. Absolutely. You have more.
Yeah, that's like, hey, Coach, I was running gassers, and I almost touched the line. That wouldn't fly, would it? I was so close to the line. I almost touched it, but I didn't touch it. You tell me to run another gasser, wouldn't you, Coach?
Yeah.
So there's no such thing as being so close.
If I'm sitting at home and I get a call from Mira saying, hey, can you go preheat the oven? That way it's ready for us to make whatever it is we're making, by the time I get home. Thaw the chicken or whatever and preheat the oven. Okay, yeah, I could do that. But if she gets home and the chicken's not thawed and the oven's not preheated, I can't say, I almost did it, right? That won't suffice. That's not going to suffice at all. In that instance, I would have to get on the line. Oh, man. Yeah, so that's a common theme here. We'll go out to the phone lines, AAA Heating Air phone lines, 803-404-6100. Our man Ray's on the line with us this morning. Ray, good morning. Welcome to the early game.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, Preston, don't forget, right before the word close, you got to put, I believe it's an adverb, very about 20 times. Very, 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 very. But anyway, I was like a lot of Gamecocks, Elijah. I was, I was in the dumps, feeling so blue what happened Saturday. And then I'm so glad, on your station, of course, I listened to the presser. And when Coach Beamer said, he said, I will say what he said. It sucks that we're not in the mention right now. But next year, this time, we're going to be in the mention. We're going to be there. And first I started thinking about, okay, is this like Ric Flair? Is this Dusty Rhodes? Is this Dabo Swinney? No. I will tell you, and all of a sudden I have a newfound respect for Coach Beamer, which I like him all along. But I'll tell you who his character is. You guys watch the show The Office?
Oh, yes. Classic.
Remember, the actor Steve Carell, pardon me. He played the character Michael Scott, the sales manager. And it didn't matter how bad things were. He could give a pep talk. And I'll never forget the one episode where they were going under, and either they're going to get bought out or none of them were going to have jobs. So all the brass were talking, basically what was going to happen. And one guy said, we just got 15 days. You guys will get your severance and all that. So then then Michael gets up there and he says, that's right, guys, we got 15 days. We got 15 days to turn this thing around, So I'm thinking of Beamer. I'm thinking Steve Carell, man. I'm thinking Michael Scott. So I'm a newfound likeness for him. But, hey, at least Coach Beamer is keeping us relevant. That's all I got to say. But thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, appreciate the call, Ray. And, I mean, in that scenario right there, when you're talking about being bummed about not being in the picture for the college football playoff, or last year, you're watching on ESPN at halftime or in between the two games, the Champions Classic, and you're looking to see where you're at, what position you're in. A, it's so much more fun. B, I don't want my head coach to come out the next day when talking about that and saying, but you know what? You better enjoy it while it lasts. I hope you guys enjoyed it in 2024. We're not doing it again next year. Even though you are far off this year, you are 3-7. You were as far off as any team in your league. And from a record standpoint, and just from especially an offensive production standpoint. But I don't want you to just concede defeat right there. I mean, at some point, we're all competitors. You're a competitor. Yeah, I want you to firmly believe that you can do that next year, that you're going to be there next year. Because if you don't believe that you can, then you're not at the right job, quite frankly. If you don't believe that's going to happen, then what are you doing coaching? Right? So, and I get people dunking on them, on Twitter. There's a lot of things that you can dunk on this team and this coaching staff for this year. I just don't see that as one of them. That yesterday didn't bother me, and it didn't help that On3 got it and kind of aggregated it a little bit to make it be like, hey, look at this guy who's 3-7, says they're going to do it next year. He's calling a shot. Any coach is going to say that, especially if they were in the picture last year. Any coach is going to say that they're going to be in it next year, or else why would you even?
Right. That makes sense.
Why would you even address it, right? We'll go back to the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Barron is on the line. Nope, just kidding. Jen says no. We don't have the call screen right here, so we have to do hand signals. So if Connor Stallions is by and he's got his cell phone out, we're in trouble because people are going to start stealing our hand signals. So we don't have Barron on the line. But there are a couple things, though, I still wanted to address from the presser, specifically the fourth quarter stuff. And I think the fourth quarter things have been the reason why. We can argue about whether or not you're close. I don't think you are because of how bad you have played in fourth quarters. That's 25% of the football game, and it's 25% of the football game that you've only won twice this year. Yeah, you've gotten yourself in position a few times. You had a lead in the fourth quarter against Alabama, didn't win. Had a lead going into the fourth quarter despite your efforts to not have the lead against Texas A&M. It was a 6-point game against Ole Miss going into the fourth quarter. It was a 1-score game against LSU on the road going into the fourth quarter. You've had manageable, winnable fourth quarters. Oh, yeah, you're up on Missouri going into the fourth quarter. Manageable, winnable fourth quarters. And if you just even play a little bit better in those, then you're maybe stealing one or two of them. And we're not talking about being 3-7, and you're maybe talking about at least being in a bowl game while the season is yet still a disappointment because of what the lofty expectations were. So that's one thing that I wanted to kind of get to the bottom of yesterday at the presser and ask Shane Beamer about was why have they struggled so much in the fourth quarter and what makes a good fourth quarter team. This we cut 7, Jen. This was Coach Beamer's response.
Yeah, I think from it starts with, all that stuff to me starts in the off season, January, February, all the things you're doing in the wintertime, in the summertime. You're building that mental toughness, that physical toughness for the fourth quarter, especially in this league where, it's going to be a dogfight every single week. It starts with from a physical standpoint, making sure that you're fresh mentally and physically as you get into the fourth quarter, that your bodies are in position to go be at your best. And that's with the preparation that you have during the week, how you're taking care of your body. And then during the game, talked about it with our coaches on Saturday. It was 80 degrees out in Texas. We got to play our players and keep them fresh so we're fresh and at our best as we go into the fourth quarter. So all of that is really important. And then when you get into it, I think everything is magnified, and you've got to make plays and we got to execute. And that falls back on us as coaches. It starts with us in regards to putting our players in position to execute. But then whether it be, A&M, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, all games in the fourth quarter that we had opportunities to win and we didn't get it done, there were plays where just frankly we didn't execute. The little touchdown pass to the running back out of the backfield against Alabama, we didn't execute. And the 2 long touchdown passes that they had in the fourth quarter, we didn't execute. And some plays that we missed in the passing game on offense, we didn't execute. And this ain't me sitting here blaming the players, they didn't do their jobs. I'm not saying that at all. It falls back on me and it falls back on us as coaches. But I think everything is magnified in the fourth quarter, and that's why I was 3 minutes late. I wasn't fighting Clayton. I was meeting with our leadership group, and that's what we were talking about was just, in the fourth quarter, we got to make plays. And it's you guys, particularly in this room, this leadership group, has got to go, lead us and make plays. And I'm not saying they didn't. A lot of those guys made a lot of great plays on Saturday. We got to make more of them. And as coaches, we've got to, and crunch moments like that, we've got to do a better job of putting our players in position to make those plays and coaching them up throughout the week. So when those times come, we make them. And that'll be certainly something. We always do it in the off season in regards to the weight room and the off season program. But yeah, that'll be a big point of emphasis next year as we go into the season in regards to, continuing to put our players in even more adverse situations where they got to communicate and be detailed at the end of weight room workouts, winter workouts, all that stuff like we do in the off season.
Now, the one thing that was not addressed there is maybe how you are mentally. It's a lot of the physical football stuff. Not executing is one thing, right? Maybe missing an assignment is one thing on defense, or maybe not running a route the way you needed to run it on offense, or maybe not blocking up the offensive play and getting the scheme correct is one thing. But there's a mental element too that this team is lacking, because that's how you lose a lot of those games in the fourth quarter, right? It certainly felt, and I wasn't in the stadium, so I can't really attest to how the vibe was in the stadium, but it certainly felt like once that momentum shift happened in the fourth quarter when A&M took that lead, that was it.
That's called puckering up.
Lemon booty.
That's called the lemon booty. That's called treating the fourth quarter different than you treat the first quarter. It's all about perspective. How the plays that happen in the fourth quarter are no different than the plays that happen in the first quarter. You have to play every single play. And if you put in this extra emphasis on it's the fourth quarter, it 4's up, and that might lend you to get a little bit tighter, when really all you need to do in the fourth quarter is play the same way you've been playing. Mm-hmm. And you will continue to do those things. You will play your assignments. You will make the routine plays. We don't need you to do anything out of your character or extraordinary. Just do what you've been coached to do. Now, if they haven't been coached to do that, they can't do it. But the idea of saying they need to do some special performance in the fourth quarter, yes, you may need that sometimes, but a lot of times you just need to do what the basics of what you've been coached to do, and they haven't been able to accomplish that. And that puckering up is from the players and the coaches.
And some teams are different. Some teams that does work, right? Like the Olympic basketball team, gold medal game against France last summer. Steph Curry, every time he got the ball on the three-point line and he was throwing the ball up, no matter how well he was guarded, you knew it was going in. You knew. It was just only a matter of when that thing actually came down from earth to get into the basket, right? Some teams actually do better when they do have that emphasis in the fourth quarter. This just doesn't happen to be one of those teams. We didn't get to do this in this last hour, but we'll do it here in this one. It's time to give our Denny Green Awards for who they are, who we thought they were. Next. We love teaching people stuff, and later on in the show, we're going to teach Jen Jensen how to spin a basketball on her finger. But if you go to Pro Swing and you're looking to improve your golf game, you can learn a lot more different things about your swing because of those golf zone simulators. Personally, it's my favorite part of Pro Swing is that those golf zone simulators just give you so much information about how you're hitting the ball, how well you're hitting it, contact, how far you're hitting the ball. All of that, all the information you could possibly want is on those golf zone simulators with our friends over at Pro Swing. And they even give you a free 30-minute swing evaluation where you can get that blueprint of your swing, get some pointers and drills to be able to work on to make yourself a better golfer while also having a really good time, whether it be at the Chapin location or the Forest Acres location. Make sure you can book online at proswingcolumbia.com or call 803-592-3916 to learn more about what they have to offer at Pro Swing.
And taking a peek at those traffic conditions this morning, we have stop-and-go traffic, I-20 eastbound between exit 101 and, of course, I-20. Always some stop-and-go there, but it is continuing this morning. Highway 262 near Veterans Road. Also, I-20 westbound at Highway 1, disabled vehicle. People kind of slowing down, taking a little bit of a peek. And I-77 northbound after Percival Road. Also, Broad River Road near Greystone Boulevard. And the weather, that's looking pretty nice. 80 for today, 73 tomorrow, 78 on Friday. Looking for a high of 80 on Saturday. Maybe a shower or two could pop up. Not supposed to ruin the day, not supposed to ruin the game. So good news there. 49 currently.
Now, we usually get to do this in hour number 2. Mix some things around today. But it's time to give our Denny Green Awards, for they are who we thought they were. Somebody in football, now we're getting into basketball season.
That's right.
Can do it for hoops, too. Because there are a couple teams. Definitely are who I thought they were. But Preston Thorne, your Denny Green Award for this week.
Horns down.
Oh.
Sark, Ark, all y'all. I'm not going to tell you to get on the line because there's no need. I'm not disappointed. You are just who I thought you were. I had a hunch since I watched them the first game this year that this team, though talented, was not very physical. And they've proven that throughout the year. And the Bulldogs took them to the woodshed and basically beat them up, sent them home black and blue, and told them, hey, this is what the SEC is all about. So they are talented. Sark is still a good play caller. Arch is coming along.
Honestly, I didn't think he played terribly. I thought he played fine. He's not the reason that they got
100% not, but I don't think as a whole, I don't think they're very physical as a team. So they are exactly who I thought they were.
Which is exactly why they're in the spot they are. Because the reason that I picked them to win the national title before the season started was because you had everything around Arch where he didn't have to be great. He just had to be good. Well, it turns out a lot of those players regressed. DeAndre Moore at receiver, regressed. Ryan Wingo at receiver, regressed. How many drop balls do they have, especially in the first half of that game that were drive killers? Mm-hmm. A lot of them. Defensively, none of them really got better. Like Michael Taft came back. He was an All-American safety, right? Anthony Hill, a lot of people were saying, is a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I thought was maybe one of the more talented linebackers in all of college football, if not the best one. Regressed. There was so much regression across the board that it's really suffered. It's made Arch have to be better than what he is. And that was the polar opposite of what it was supposed to be going into the season, right? Arch Manning was supposed to be in a good position to succeed because the team was good enough to put them in a position to be able to just be good enough, right? But the team has kind of let them down in that regard. And it didn't help early in the season that Arch struggled. So when Arch struggled, the results were worse than what they normally would have been if Arch were to have struggled, right? That's been a big thing with this team. Texas definitely getting a Denny Green Award. In terms of who I got to give this one to, sorry, Preston Thorne, the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, man.
Because I love that roster. Bijan Robinson's I think he's one of the best football players in the NFL. Drake London is exactly what I thought he was, and that is an all-pro caliber receiver, right? They have all of the talent.
James Pierce having a good year as a rookie.
James Pierce is having a good year. They shored up the defense. But Raheem, you can't take Raheem Morris off the headset, and you can't make the Falcons not the Atlanta Falcons. There's something about that franchise where they can have a lot of things come together and it still not happen. Which now, the more we get removed from them making a Super Bowl appearance, it almost seems miraculous that they broke their own franchise's tradition until the last half of that Super Bowl.
Yeah, Raheem would definitely get this award because he is exactly who we thought he was. He got in his job early in his career. He wasn't very good then, went through the coaching rehab program. He's a solid defensive coordinator. I don't even know if he's great at that, but he's a solid defensive coordinator.
Solid. Good enough for them to win in Los Angeles.
Good enough for them to win. He was the interim coach. They didn't hire him. They brought him back, and it's kind of like, hey, man, if you thought he was going to be the guy then, you should have just hired him.
Yeah.
But you probably deep down in your heart knew that he wasn't the guy, and it's not working. I don't know if I'll be around to see if the reclamation project continues next year because my eyes are open. The portal starts very soon in the NFL.
They're lingering a little bit.
So I will be doing that. My next Denny Award goes to a person, and that is Lane Kiffin, because you are who I thought you are. You are who I thought you are. Because, Lane, I'm very happy that you have changed your life. Seriously, kudos anybody that goes through that journey. I'm really happy that you've done that. But there are certain things about you that you cannot get rid of. And that's the rascal in you. You're still a rascal. You still like to stir things up. And if you really wanted to stay at Ole Miss, you would have signed the extension. You have not signed the extension, and therefore I believe that you will not be coaching Ole Miss next year. I could be wrong, but I do not believe you have any intentions of staying. And you are stringing the good folks of Oxford, Mississippi along, telling them that they should enjoy this because they'll never have this again, all the while knowing in the back of your mind, to quote our favorite Magic Johnson meme,
I'm not going to be here. Shakes head aggressively. I'm not going to be here.
I'm going to be here. So, Lane, you are who I thought you were.
Interesting distinction in that quote, right? One of our texters on the Firehouse Subs text line did say, he said, you're 10-1, not we're 10-1.
Big point.
Word choice matters. Word choice matters when you're answering those questions. You're not going to straight up come out and say, I'm not going to be back here next year, but you might leave hints. It's like if I ever win the lottery, I might not tell you that I won the lottery, but buddy, there will be signs.
There'll be some clues.
There will be some clues. Elijah, that's a really sick Dr. J UMass jersey you got in here. Nobody makes those. Elijah, those are really expensive shoes. You've been wearing the same shoes for years here. Well, I don't know. Yeah, just felt frisky.
There will be some signs. It may not be obvious to the outsiders, but those that know will know.
Oh, remarkable stuff. One that I really have to give it to, too, and I hate doing this because I thought the guy did an incredible career reclamation project when he was in Minnesota working with KOC. But he had a big game in the playoffs and played his worst game as a Viking. He goes to Seattle. He's leading an offense that is one of the best in the NFL, and it's seemingly unstoppable. They play the biggest game in the NFL that week against the Los Angeles Rams on the road with first place in the division on the line. I was starting to buy into the fact that Seattle Seahawks may be Super Bowl title contenders, but Sam Darnold had other plans. And by that, I mean the season of giving started early. He threw 4 interceptions. 4 interceptions. And that was all the difference in a game in which Matt Stafford didn't have to throw for over 200 yards. They didn't have to be incredibly explosive on offense. They only had to score 21 points. Final score is 21-19. Sam Darnold, I hate to do this because your story's been great, and you have shown some flashes in the last 2 years that have been comparable to anybody in the NFL at the quarterbacking position. But to throw 4 picks in that game and cost your team the biggest game of the season so far only proves that you are exactly who you thought you were.
And I hate to do this even more because I have to give credit where credit's due, and I would never want to give credit to this person. But credit to Skip Bayless for the nickname Same Darnold.
Oh, no. Oh, his fastball's back.
He still got it.
Oh, man. Bob Seger would agree. He's still the same. Same Darnold.
Same Darnold.
Oh, no.
Man.
Oh, that's tough. Coming up next, we're going to pose Preston with some questions, and we'll see how Jen Jensen's status is when learning to spin a basketball on her finger, because in the last segment, we're going to see how she's applied those. We're going to do that next here in the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for Carolina Stone Craftsman, just outside Columbia in Chapin. We had a great experience with them. We first met with Rebecca and Ethan, and they kind of explained to us how they understand that kitchen and bath projects can be a significant investment, and that's why they really work hard to deliver the highest quality and most affordable granite, marble, and quartz while still delivering the best customer service. It's really simple. Great countertops with no compromises. And I'm telling you, you need to visit their showroom. You will not only be impressed, but inspired. They helped us decide what kind of countertops we needed for some cabinetry that we had in some bathrooms. And it was such a great experience from the beginning to installation. If you need countertops, make sure you stop by Carolina Stone Craftsman. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family owned and operated just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. Visit them online, carolinastonecraftsman.com. Highway 262 near I-77, an accident reported. Also still working one. Highway 602 near Enterprise Parkway. I-77 northbound at Percival. Also I-77 northbound at I-20. So basically on I-77 northbound, exits 15 and 16 are impacted by accidents. Longspond Road near Two Notch Road. North Brickyard at Two Notch. And Broad River Road near Greystone. So do be careful out there this morning. Allow a little extra time. 80 for our high today, 73 tomorrow. Right now, the sun is out. It's trying to warm up a little bit. We're up to 52 on the early game.
Now, I can try to teach Jen Jensen how to become an expert at spinning the ball on your finger, but the real expert is in the building. The real expert, because joining us right now, Fatima TNT Lister from the Harlem Globetrotters, and not just a Harlem Globetrotter, became the first woman Globetrotter since 1993 when she joined the squad in 2011. Is hanging out with us right now. Fatima, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate having you in studio.
It's my pleasure. We're excited to get down here and play.
Yeah, and that's December 5th. So you guys are going to be in town December 5th at Colonial Life Arena. If you've never been to a Harlem Globetrotters game, they are so much fun. I haven't been to one since I was maybe like in the 4th or 5th grade.
Okay, it's time to come back.
I got to come back. I got to check it back out. I was about 4th or 5th grade. The Hooper Eblin Center in Cookeville, Tennessee. That's one of my favorite things that you guys do. You guys go everywhere. Like, it's not just big cities. You guys are going to be in Martin, Tennessee. Very familiar with that arena.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are all over the place.
Yeah, and the fact that you mentioned, going at that age, I think that's a great age for kids to come and be introduced to the game of basketball. And I think for the Globetrotters, we pride ourselves on being that fun introduction into basketball to let kids know, like, listen, we're going to have fun. This is a game. And it sticks with people, right? You know everything. You know all the details, all the way down to the name of the arena and everything. So I think that's one of the unique things about the Globetrotters. It's something that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah, it certainly does. And that's one thing for people who have not been to a Harlem Globetrotters game. What should they expect from that experience? Because it truly is one of the most unique things that you can take a child to, or even just go to yourself.
I think, for us, we say, whether you're 2 or 92, there's something in a Globetrotter game that you can enjoy. And we love that. We come behind a long legacy of players. This is going to be our 100th season. So it's jam-packed with, history and things from now and things from for the future. Kids are going to remember this forever.
Yes. So what's the process behind the nicknames? Are they given? Are you chosen? How do you get your nickname, especially yours particular nickname of TNT?
Right. So it's different for different people. If you come in with a nickname, you can say, hey, this is my nickname. They've been calling me this forever. But for the most part, you're kind of giving your nickname, and that's, your rite of passage when you're at training camp, and we have like a whole moment where, okay, we're gonna name our rookies, and you get the cool names, and my name's TNT because I'm the bomb,
Like it,
and, dynamite. So they felt like I was an explosive player. I was like, yeah, that works. So that's how you get it. It just kind of depends on like your style of play, your personality, kind of combination. Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about you in terms of like your basketball background, because all of you guys that played for the Globetrotters were playing really at high level competitive basketball.
Yeah.
You played for Coach Dawn Staley, who we're very familiar with, but you played with her when she was coaching at Temple.
Yeah.
Right? So what was that experience like, getting to play at the early stage of Dawn Staley's coaching career?
For one, she was still playing in the WNBA and coaching us, and I thought that was phenomenal. And I felt like she's done everything that you want to do as a player. So how could I not go there? I transferred there, and I'm like, oh, this is where I need to be. So the fact that she was interested in me, that alone, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to sign on the line immediately. But I think for her, what was the most unique thing was what she does in the community, what she does on the court, how she handles her family, and she was doing all those things seamlessly. And that was something that kind of sparked my interest in wanting to give back in a way that was bigger than just playing on the court. So I admire her for, just her ability to juggle all of those things. So, it looks effortless. But the way she did that inspired me to try to give back on a bigger scale.
Now, that being said, what position did you play when you were at Temple?
Point guard. Yeah.
So playing point guard for Dawn Staley, I'm sure that was an adventure.
Yeah. And that too, she makes you think the game. It's not all about playing it. So, I go there and it's just such a culture shock from where I was at, from high school and she makes you think the game. Like, you have to know what you're going to do on offense, what they're doing on defense, what you did 3 plays ago, what everyone's position is. And it is a lot, but it makes you grow at a fast pace. And I appreciated that. And I feel like it helped my career and helped my IQ at a fast rate.
What's really funny is you mentioned knowing what you have to do 3 plays ago. She's talked about that already this season with the team she's got right now. Like, Dawn Staley is one of the best at play sequencing that I think that exists in basketball at any level right now. And clearly that's something that she tried to instill in you guys even when she first started her coaching career.
Yep, she's big on that, and I think that's part of her success is just the way she thinks the game. And as a point guard, she expects a lot out of you. She expects, there's everyone else, and then if you're that point guard,
yes,
you have to be the mind that really makes everything run and go. And it can be intimidating, and I think what kind of helps is the fact that that she has your back. Even whether you're struggling or not, at the end of the day, she could have yelled things. I've been to the White House, but I think for me, it's just those intimate moments, because you always have the big moments, right? It's the intimate moments where you've made a change, or if I go home, I'm from Colorado Springs, and just the love I get at home. So that's one of my favorite places. Like I mentioned, I went to the White House and shot baskets with Barack at one point, and so that was cool. It's just so many. We had a Make-A-Wish kid come and hang out with us for a day, and I'll never forget that. So it's just been so many little pockets of just special moments. So it's hard to pinpoint.
Hard to pinpoint just one. But now the most important thing, the most pressing thing right now, because we've been talking about this. Fatima TNT listeners on with us right now. We've been trying to teach Jen Jensen, our producer, how to spin a basketball on her finger. I've been trying to teach her. Now, as she stands over here, can you give her the tips of what it takes to be able to make magic happen with that basketball and give Jen Jensen a party trick she can use for the rest of her life?
So I want to, be able to tell you this is magic and I can just spin it in, but it takes some practice, right?
Okay.
So we can do some teamwork and we can spin it together.
Okay.
If you're down for that.
No, I'll try.
Let's do it.
Oh, yes.
All right. Ooh.
This is why you watch on the video stream, too. We're getting ready to learn a little something today.
You right-handed?
Yes.
All right, you come this side.
Okay, this side. Just gonna pass it off, I bet.
Yeah, I'm pass it off to
It's
you.
gonna be like spinning plates.
All right.
Pointer finger.
Oh, heck.
Pointer finger.
Oh, look at all the spin on that. She gets so much more spin on that than I do. Look at that! Look at that! Jen Jensen's got it! She spun a
We have
basketball
our
on her
new
finger.
Globetrotter. We're looking for more women, so.
Look at that. See? Nothing you can't do here on this program. Jen
You
Jensen
got it?
has now learned. We got it.
You want to do it again?
We'll do it one more time. Yeah. We got time for one more. We got 20 seconds here. Now the time is
We'll
of
get
the
a better
essence.
spin.
Now we're under pressure.
Clock management.
Clock management skills.
All right. We're just gonna place it.
I like that.
Oh, look at that!
Nice. And she saved her. Hey.
And that screenshot, will live forever. That screenshot will live forever.
Oh my gosh.
Fatima, thank you so much for
no
taking the time to
problem.
hang out with
My
us.
pleasure, guys.
Thank you.
Teach us a new skill. Tell us some cool stories. Remember, December 5th at Colonial Life Arena, you can see TNT and her teammates of the Harlem Globetrotters do their thing and introduce maybe a young one to basketball, or get to experience a new sporting event for yourself. This is a winner of an event. She's a winner of a basketball player. We'll give you our winners for today's show next. The look on Jen's face, too. I was watching it here. She's like,
Like I'm doing magic.
look at that. That is magic. That's magic. Thank you so much. It was so awesome to meet you.
Yeah, I'm going into my 15th season.
Yeah, absolutely. Is my read coming up here? Is that I got it. You have an man. Good day to watch on the YouTube screen. Because Mike Singletary is about to request winners. Hit it, Jen.
Sorry, I was a little slow with it. I was kind of excited.
She's learned a new skill. Jen's learned how to spin a basketball on her finger. We said it was going to happen. And she's out here practicing too. So one winner, sponsored by the Golden Spur. Golden winner, learning things. Never too old to learn a new skill.
Never too old to learn. Yeah, and also I would also say another winner, the middle finger. Usually not a great thing, but today the middle finger had some winning tendencies, as Randy shows me. Randy shows me just how important it is. I am number one. Thank you, Randy. We are number one.
Just how powerful that finger can be.
Correct.
Whether it be spinning a basketball on your finger or putting in your contact lenses.
Correct.
It is very versatile.
Lots of things.
And we give a winner to the Harlem Globetrotters.
Absolutely.
Obviously, they beat the Washington Generals, but it's taught a lot of people, or introduced a lot of people into the wonderful game of basketball.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I thought about my experience. I had an experience with the Harlem Globetrotters, and it was just a lot of fun. And I guess I was probably timeline-ish 9 or 10 years old. It was just cool basketball to see at a time. So, yeah, if you're out there and it's something you want to take your kids out to an event, it's a really fun time.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. And again, December 5th is when they're going to be here at Colonial Life Arena. Tickets are still available, so I highly recommend getting to go there. Go to harlemglobetrotters.com. It looks like they even have a Black Friday sale for that event, too. So if you like Black Friday shopping and getting sales on Black Friday, I think I got one for you right there. So the Harlem Globetrotters winners. Also, Wilt Chamberlain, famous Globetrotter, another famous Globetrotter. So a lot of winners for today's show. Catchphrases, because today when we're putting folks on the line, we've already got on the Firehouse Subs text line, we're so close put on the line,
ding,
and we also have the phrase last year.
Yeah,
KT from Lexington wants to put the phrase last year.
Can't live in last year. That was last year. There's a reason why. Can't live there.
No,
it's happened already. That is very fair, and that's another reason. I'm going to give a winner to agents, because, boy, what a season are the agents about to have with this coaching carousel that is going around. There's going to be a lot of movement around agents, and as I stated, it's not just going to be head coaches. It's going to be OCs, O-line coaches. Everybody is on the move. So the coaching carousel, agents, winners.
You know what? That's something I always thought about wanting to do. Like one day is like just be an agent, but get like 5 college coaches that are at like the Power 4 level. I make enough money to be a happy man.
Correct.
Especially if one of them gets fired. That's the goal. Jimmy Sexton doesn't lose, right? So Jimmy Sexton, always a winner in that regard. Another winner that I have, optimism, because I think we're more optimistic about this men's basketball team. We knew the women's basketball team is going to do what they do. Don's team is a machine. They got that big win over the weekend against Southern Cal, a top 10 win. They're back on track to doing exactly what we think they're going to do every year, and that's make a Final Four appearance.
They are who we thought they are.
Yeah, Don Staley are who we thought you were, and that is dominant and a winner. But I think even last night, yes, it's against Radford, and we've had to say that a few times. Yes, it's against North Carolina A&T. Yes, it's against Southern Miss. Yes, it's against Presbyterian. Yes, it's against Radford. But this team's showing you something.
Because I'm old enough to remember last year when it was against North Florida. And almost it was against Presbyterian, right? So I am old enough to remember that.
It's a whole lot different. And the biggest thing that I had concerns of is how quickly can you get this team full of transfers and freshmen that are going to play big minutes to be able to gel together. And they're doing that really well. They're sharing the ball well. Right now in college basketball, they're assisting on 68% of their field goals made. That's good for 12th in the country. They are top 15 in assist rate right now for a team that has almost no continuity from last year, right? They have an 8.5%. If you go on KenPom, they have an 8.5% minutes continuity from last year. That's good for 293rd in college basketball. I don't know what's more surprising, that they're 8.5% continuity from last year, or that's 8.5% is only good for 293rd out of the 360 some odd teams we have in Division One. But I guarantee you, the teams that are in that 290 spot or below them, maybe not gelling the way this team is right now. There's a lot of optimism. I feel good about it. And guess what? They almost shot 80% from 2 last night.
That's pretty wild.
80%.
Last year's team might not have shot that from the free throw line.
They most certainly did not, right? Specifically speaking, if you want to see what they shot last year from the free throw line, 71.5%.
There you go.
Oh, those are our winners. Always a winner, brought to you by Golden Spur. Tyler Head, Jack Veltri, the extra point. That's next.